guys, what's up? It's the It's Your Neighbor podcast. I'm Monte, Reyment, and we are back with episode 30?
Episode 30.
Episode 30. We just did 29.
Yeah, we just did 29.
I prefer even numbers.
Even numbers, episode 30. Special friends in the house, which we're going to introduce in a minute. My name is Anthony Alvarado. This is It's Your Neighbor podcast, where we're literally interviewing your neighbors that are making a difference right here in the local area. Episode 30.
Episode 30.
Dude, last week, though, the last podcast, we had Team 1848.
Yeah, we took a little break, a little summer break. But
yeah, for once.
1848. How awesome is that and what they're doing? Chandra and Harry over at 1848 youth basketball. And not only just, basketball, it's like, oh, big deal basketball, but the stuff that they're doing for the community and like the kids that they're raising into young adults and really just putting obviously a spotlight on it, but their resumes are impressive. You got two
playing overseas, playing pro.
Yeah, WNBA. Pro, homegrown, that's awesome.
Yeah, I had the last, right at the end when we were taking the group shot, I was like, all right, you guys are going to stand in the middle. And Sandra was like, nah, I'm actually going to sit next to you.
Yeah, Chandra was like.
Which was a nice little jab. Nah. Like, obviously, I'm not that tall, but she's 6'4". 6'4". So,
yeah, she's great. She was awesome. I'm glad that, she's finding a niche, too, for herself because she's really trying to make some changes in the community and do some things. And and she is now, which is awesome. She's been, she's a teacher at, Bayview Middle School, but this, I think, fills her cup a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
and it's also to see Harry out there excited about the program, excited about the youth, portion of that basketball team taking off. And of course, that resonates home.
Yep.
My son played basketball forever, and it was just something that we did while he was growing up. So it was just really special to see and hear how they're making a difference.
I still play rec basketball.
Yeah, I try to play basketball. To be honest with you, I'm just hitting bricks all day.
44 going on 100 on the way.
But sometimes I get that outside perimeter dad shot going, and I light it up, bro. I'm talking about like I will make it rain sometimes.
I'm straight Dennis Rodman. Yeah. I am 0 poents, 12 rebounds, 4 turnovers, 3 steals. That's me. I'm the hustle guy now. I can't put it in the hoop. I used to, but I can't do it anymore. So
Nadine, she goes in the paint too. She used to play basketball. I always thought, I was like, there's no way my fiance can play basketball. We got out on the court. She whooped us. She was like putting it up, posting.
We need
and
to
everything.
get a hoop here.
Dude, we should get a hoop.
We need a hoop.
So we're not just talking about basketball today. We want
That's a good transition.
Tee up our good friends, Cutter and Aisha. You two are popping up all over the place. I see.
Everywhere.
I've known you for like the last, 10 plus years.
Yeah,
been popping in on the radio station.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, instead of you interviewing me and saying you just doing the news and used to being on camera, why don't you come into our studio and we'll interview you guys. And part of it is because you're an inspiration to us, and you're one of the neighbors that are constantly showing up and doing something to, make this place a little sweet to live. So why don't you introduce yourselves, and we'll get into it.
Go ahead, love.
So my name is Aisha Morales. I'm currently doing the First Alert Safety Desk. I anchor the morning show for WBAY Channel 2 here in Green Bay, Northeast Wisconsin. I've been here 8 years. Yesterday was my 8-year anniversary, which I couldn't believe.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So it's the longest I've been at a TV market, obviously staying. And I love it here.
Why is that? I see a cup over there.
Yeah, because we are engaged.
Nice.
Yes.
Congrats.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coming in as a couple.
Coming in as a couple.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's our first interview together.
Oh, wow.
It is our first interview together.
Cool.
So, yeah, and I'm
letting everybody know.
I was born in Michigan, so I'm a Midwest kid originally, and then I was raised in Arizona.
Cool.
So also a West Coast kid.
Awesome.
A little bit of everything.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I'm Cutter. I do the morning show on 105.7 WAPL. I've been in radio since 1999 when I was a teenager.
Dang,
started at WAPL, actually, so it's weird how it all kind of comes back around. So 3 years ago, I took over the morning show on WAPL, and in that process, met Aisha. Our companies are actually media partners, so we were working together a little bit, and that the rest of that part is history. But yeah, it's cool, doing mornings. You can attest to it. It's just such a different beast and animal, whether it's radio, whether it's TV, in radio, I was just the guy playing music and talking to bands all the time. Now it's, there's news and information and fart jokes to make. Yeah.
Rob, can you hit the fart joke button?
He's well-rounded. Yeah.
And of course, with WAPL, this is a station. I mean, I grew up in Reyment, Wisconsin, so in the valley.
Yeah.
Listened to WAPL my entire life. It's one of those stations that was always on. My dad would throw it on, on the way to work or picking me up from school, whatever the case may be. And of course, talking to Rick when I'm in on the station, he's just like, oh man, listening to me all your years growing up is just kind of reminds him how old he is, right?
It's a weird thing, right? Because like I grew up listening to him, and then for the last 3 years he was my co-host. And if you don't know, he just recently retired, and we're in the process of finding my new co-host of the future. But when I got offered that job and to take over that show, and I'm like, this is the guy I grew up listening to. Right? They're on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and it's where you got everything in the world of rock music and local music and everything on that radio station. So even at 19 years old, when I started there, I walked into that building going, oh my God, this is WAPL. This is so cool.
The first time I ever watched in the studio, this is exactly how I felt. The first time I was on the radio with you, I mean, I was just kind of losing it a little bit. It's just like, this is the space.
You made it.
I made it, right? I was like, I was just shaking. I was so serious that first interview too. Oh my gosh. But that's amazing. I mean, it's kind of like a dream come true.
I hope I have made it at least somewhat comfortable for you.
Way more comfortable. Okay. Yeah. No,
that's how I felt. Because I didn't know what he looked like for the longest time. I had no idea.
This is the first time I've ever seen him.
Really?
I've heard him for 20 years. But
it's weird.
Pay attention to the voice.
So can you talk a little bit more about where you're at
the voice
with
training
the station right now, and kind of like what has that journey been like recently, trying to find a co-host, and like what's up and coming with the radio station?
It's it's a transition period. It's weird in the market right now for morning radio. And first of all, let me just say this: no matter what radio station you're listening to, the fact that people care here as much as they care, and I had this conversation with Kenda from the Green Bay Press Gazette. Or Kendra, sorry, from the Green Bay Press Gazette. Kenda is a local music promoter. I always do that. But we had this conversation about just how much coverage it's gotten with people retiring, shows moving, new shows debuting, all of that. No matter what station it is, it's pretty cool because I don't think in any other part of the world, really, or at least the country, would that happen. And the fact that people care just, to me, proves just how much people care here about locality, the local aspect,
very prideful,
very prideful. If you're in Green Bay, you feel it. If you're in Appleton, you feel it. You're in Oshkosh, you feel it. You're on the Lakeshore, you feel it. You're in Ripon, Wisconsin, we're rocking Ripon. I mean, it's just so cool to me. But this process of the morning show, so when I got hired 3 years ago, I knew Rick was going to retire, probably about this time frame. 3 to 5 years is kind of what we were talking about. Unfortunately, he got sick. And we wish him well. We're throwing a benefit for him. We'll talk about that later. But, we had to move forward with the process. So we're down to the finalists right now. Hopefully an announcement will be coming soon.
Exciting. Cool. Awesome. Hopefully the
because it's the 105.7 is a staple, right? Like you have IXX, that's probably
it's almost 50 years, that the radio station's been on the air.
95.9, those are like the three that you listen to, 94.7 occasionally, but like those are the ones, and then, Y100, those are the ones that everybody is, but 105.7 is like the one that has the longevity.
Dude, they did the small town crime wave.
Right? I
still do it every Monday morning.
I love it.
Every Monday morning.
I love that.
Aisha has to watch me prepare it on Sunday night.
I send them story ideas.
She does.
Well, that's a good team.
She's my first alert source.
I'm waiting for my check.
Right.
Because once in a while, I'm like, wait a second.
Because I'm like, wait a minute. We have a
I get a coworker. Did you hear him say that? I'm like, oh, did he now?
Every once in a while, I get a news story I send your way. Every once in a while, there's something that I catch
I give
them
what I obviously can't put on the air. That's just, the funny stuff.
Of course.
It's a little more ridiculous.
You can't talk about the naked lady doing something at the nature reserve?
No, not in the way you do.
Wait, what happened?
Let's talk about this one.
I think it was last week. There was
you guys heard
there was a
first.
woman, a topless, a topless woman at the nature reserve in Menasha. Running around making
over
noise.
Hat Rock? Or
actually.
That's exactly
with all
what
the
it was.
Walkways, that would have been interesting.
Just living her life.
I know some people who have
always
boats.
one.
Who wants to go fishing in Menasha?
Depends what you're fishing for.
There you go. Right?
There we go.
So Aisha, for you had mentioned growing up, in Arizona. How did Green Bay happen?
Personal life. I was dating somebody in Arizona, and it was originally from Green Bay.
Sure.
But I
thought
actually
there was nobody before me.
I know. I actually came out here alone to make sure it would be a place that I could live and work with or without anybody else, you know. And I did, and I fell in love with it. And I ended up alone pretty quickly, and I stayed because I loved the station and I loved the community. I got really deep into the community because I was alone. So the only people that I had were the people around me, actually.
Sure, you had a tight group.
And keeping myself busy by doing all that community stuff was what I had learned to do to survive.
Well, and talking about historic stations, I mean,
Legacy.
WBAY, 71 years now.
Yeah,
we've been on the air. It's do I have this right? And I'm doing this off the top of my head, so I apologize. It's the second TV station to exist in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and
over-the-air broadcast.
No kidding.
Yeah, and Kevin Rompa was the first to have a morning show.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the
Wisconsin.
first anchor. I'm like, Kevin's not that old.
First morning show. Well, and the morning show started in 1989.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
And
instead of just evening news.
Yeah, and when he left, it was just like the weird. And I started the morning show when he left. Just this weird transition. You were talking about transitions. We've gone through our own. You know, we're watching a lot of these people
for sure,
who
like
were
the icons of news, like in our area.
Bill Jarts is getting up there, you know, and so we're going to see a big shift in the TV world.
He's the best too. I love Jarts.
Yeah,
but it's the same. It's people care so much about us and our lives and what we're doing, and so when we're out there, it makes a huge difference.
Well, essentially, you have that celebrity status, right? Like, you know.
Yeah. It's weird though. I was just telling you,
saying, like, you know what I'm saying, right?
It's a little awkward, but it is a thing. Yeah.
What were you saying?
The
Quick
Trip guy yesterday.
He
was this older guy, you know, but it was a third person yesterday because I was not incognito. Because normally I'm wearing a hoodie and like whatever.
95 degrees.
Chilling.
Who's that? Who's that celebrity?
Sunglasses.
You're really high in Green Bay.
I just dress like super casual and comfy.
Got your
but I was in my work. I was wearing just my work clothes.
Right.
You know, it's out and, you know, people are like, you're the news lady. You know, I'm in a thrift store and like, but people are so nice. And they care.
Well, you are correct. I mean, when I was over at, let's say, Gannett, you know, Appleton Post Press in Green Bay Gazette, you know, the whole run, Oshkosh Northwestern, and then it went on and on. USA Today, you know, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Here in Wisconsin, people are localish, right? Where they have this strong affinity for even the paper industry, TV, radio.
Yeah.
There is a hardcore listener base and readership and viewership that goes out to our local news and constantly supported. I mean, all the time, even 12 years ago when I was at that network, you know, it was one of those things where it's like, are people really reading the paper? And here in Wisconsin, the answer was yes, you know. Now that was 10, 12 years ago, but you can still...
The answer's no now, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And with that being said, kind of tease up the next question, how are you seeing maybe your respective medias changing today in today's world?
Take that?
I mean, you guys it has to be different.
It has
one
to.
for TV and one for radio.
I mean, obviously, it's
digital
doing more of this sort of thing, that shift, because we just started doing a similar setup where we have a podcast type of thing. It's a digital, we call it the digital news desk, and it's a huge priority now, if not the priority right now that our company is. So we have these digital news hits, even though we're creating the content for the, you know, the show, the noon, the 4, the 5, the 6, and the 10. The priority is that digital little segment because people want to see you just doing this, just talking normal, conversationally, and being yourself. And I feel like that is the huge shift. They're watching you on television. You're a little bit more like stiff. They love seeing you just talking.
Authentic, right? That's what you talk a lot about, being authenticity, even in our fields.
That's
right?
the shift.
As a real estate agent and a broker, being authentic is important.
It's huge.
Because people can read through bullshit really, really quickly.
Real
see it just in body language, right? Like if you're a real or not. Like when you guys came in right away, that's the first thing. I'm just a huge personal observer. There wasn't anything fake about you guys. You were here, you're loose, you're ready. Like that's the cool thing. When you have, you know, local celebrities or whoever in, and I've had some, you know, stuff in the past where I work with, you know, sports players and things like that, you can tell like if the show is on or the show is off right away, real quick.
When so many things changed over with politics and things that people are a little bit more skeptical. And so the more we can show them guarded, the more we can show them that authenticity, the more they trust you, because otherwise they don't as much anymore.
Yeah, you're just bullshitting then, right? So,
Absolutely.
or you're reading what you're supposed to read instead of just being being you.
Being yourself.
Yeah.
Being yourself is so important. I mean, that's something that you have to do in my field.
Yeah.
You know, you guys get to report and kind of, you know, you write your scripts and
Correct.
you can kind of practice it.
Yeah.
We're completely off the cuff and
Yeah.
on the fly.
You ad-lib
for
the
the
whole
most
time.
part. I do
Yeah.
ad-lib the whole time.
Yeah. That's a skill.
And it's learned though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it took a long time to get there. You
Yeah.
know? But it's same for us. You know, it's obviously podcasting. We're an audio medium, so audio obviously for anything. And I've been doing. I'm on my third podcast now that I personally host and produce, and I've been doing it now for 7 years. And at about 100,000 downloads.
What's it called?
Cool.
Cutter's Rockcast.
That's good.
And that's just long form interviews with musicians.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is. You know, from Rob Halford of Judas Priest, Alice Cooper, to some band you saw down the street open up for 6 other bands at the bar, you know, and everybody in between. If they got a story to tell and some cool music to play, let's talk and have that conversation. But podcasting, we're a radio company that has a video department now. You know, we have a video editor in house. To do,
it's like a must
you know,
now.
and I mean, you guys are a real estate agency, right? And
we have
you have this sitting
Yeah.
here, right?
So
It's wild.
Which is way nicer than what we have. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't know.
It is
We're in the wrong
rentable. I mean,
business.
you guys could come in and rent it out.
There you go.
If you want. You know, honestly, though, I think that was one of the things for me, too. I mean, having a little bit of course, a marketing background, a media background, having a nonprofit community-driven background. For me, I knew that stories were so important. And one of the ways to do that is get people in the studio and have people just talk and provide different perspectives. And with the real estate market, the housing market specifically, you know, from a news standpoint, sucks. It can change. It's getting better. Interest rates are back down to like that six,
just over 6,
right? And
as of today,
there's some alleviation.
All right,
that's
cool.
changing.
I'll call you guys in a few months after the wedding.
Exactly. So you guys are ready. They said they're going to come. But
I'm always ready.
But at the end of the day, you know, if you were going to do business with us, what better opportunity to showcase our realtors, our partners, and people within the market that really talk about what's happening here on a local level. Everybody needs a home.
Yep.
And we want to do more than just sell homes, though. You know, we want to drive those messages. And so for us, you know,
community,
we're heading up kind of a media company in some senses that is helping to sell houses here locally. And so we take a similar approach. And, you know, for me, like thinking about some of the community stuff you guys have gotten into, what are some of those special moments that kind of call out to you? Because one, you already said you came here, you got rooted, they were there for you.
Yeah.
And now you're going in the community and literally driving community messages that are really important. Everything from supporting women to supporting those that are in need. So can you highlight some of that?
Yeah, well, the women part was because I was going through a lot of personal things that were in that direction. So I teamed up with YWCA, and so they're all about that. So I started there, and then, you know, whether it's working with, and then I started working with Boys and Girls Club, and then I met somebody else who did that. So anything with women, kids, animals, I'm really passionate about. So it's in my job, they're so supportive of all of that because that's really what we're all about. So the women part is big. Those are mine. Yours are so different. And I think that's really cool because both of ours combined, we cover almost all of them.
Yeah. I mean, my big, you know, community involvement thing has always been veteran charities.
Yeah.
I just kind of gravitated towards it. You know, I've ridden on 2 wheels forever, and obviously there's a lot of veterans in that community. But my brother's a Marine. You know, my uncle was in the Army, and he was in Korea, and it's just something I just grew up around. You know, there were always veterans around, small town farming community. Because I'm from Denmark, Wisconsin, and it's just something I gravitate. And then I think after 9/11 hit, and I had so many friends. I was 21. You know, and I had so many friends that had either just graduated high school or just getting out of college or whatever that all signed up and went and fought. And I didn't, and I always kind of felt a little guilty about that.
I feel that too.
When I was 18 and graduating high school, I thought smoking weed and playing punk rock was more important. Don't try that at home, kids, unless it's legal there and you're over the age of 21. But to be completely honest, that's what it was. You know, I wanted to play punk rock and play my guitar in a band and be an idiot instead of doing something that was important, you know? So
it's
now
interesting
that I have this platform, it's like I want to give back as much as humanly possible.
It's interesting
cool.
too, because I was a college athlete at the time. That was my thing. I'm the same age as you. I remember where I was sitting when 9/11 happened, and I was in a geography class in Stevens Point, and my teacher said something to me like, "Oh, did you hear the trade center?" I'm like, "Who would be dumb enough to go after us?" And I walked home sat down in front of TV, and that's
Turns
when
out there's a group of people.
Well, yeah, and then I sat down in front of TV, and then I saw the second plane hit the second I sat down, and I was like, oh, this is going to change the world. This is different, and it's stuck. Like, it's the weird things you remember, like our parents talk about when Kennedy was assassinated. They can tell you exactly where you were at that time. And to your point of like having that guilt, I did have that guilt for a while of, what can I do to do that? Because I was an athlete, right? Like, that was my thing, and nobody's going to blame me for being a college athlete. But for me, it was like, some of my teammates were in the National Guard, and they're getting picked up in helicopters at practice. Like, literally, like they dropped 2 helicopters down and picked up our National Guard guys and said, let's go.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I? I'm just standing in pads watching these guys, get picked up, and they're going to go. And I'm a D3 football player. Who cares? Right? Like nobody cared. I did at the moment, but looking back now, is like, what should I have? Maybe, maybe not. I'm pretty grateful for my life and what I'm doing now. But in that moment, I felt the same way. And so, Troop's got a special spot for me as well in that capacity, because it's just, I feel that.
Absolutely.
Same exact age, same way.
I think I was a freshman in high school, walking down the hallway and ripping, just like looking at the screen, remembering that moment. But talking about those breaking news moments, I mean, there's so much happening in the news, of course. And, every morning that I turn it on, just trying to find some of that good news that is out there. And, what are some of the things that you guys have been sharing about together is what I find really exciting too.
Yeah, we were doing our first, I guess we've done a couple random ones.
Well, we filled in, you mentioned Bill Jarts earlier.
Yes.
We filled in.
I almost forgot about that one.
Because it takes at least 2, in that case, 3 people to fill in.
To fill his
for
position.
Bill Jarts.
Yeah, for sure.
That was in a pinch.
You randomly got a phone call.
Casa, Wisconsin.
To host.
Foster
Foster care. It's an incredible organization. Truly, I didn't know much about them until we went and did that event. It was amazing.
Yeah, I had done stories with them in the past. That's cool. Again, because I was here alone, I don't have family here at all. I almost considered doing that back in the day, but I just kept them in.
Parent.
Yeah, being a foster parent, and I just kept them close. I always did stories with them, and I was always intrigued by what they did. And then that's why when Bill Jarts was not able to do it, they were like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Well, yeah, they asked you, and then she literally looks over. We were sitting at the kitchen table, and I don't think I'll ever forget it, because she looks over at me and goes, "You're helping."
Because it's scary.
I think I was just
Bill Jarts,
voluntold.
Yeah, so we did that. That was their big fundraiser in the atrium at Lambeau Field.
And John Kuhn is a big part of that, and his wife are a big part of that organization. So John Kuhn and I did the whole silent auction thing stuff, and he did some of the emceeing stuff with you. And there was an author there who was incredible. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, so I apologize. But she was amazing.
Yeah, she had a similar experience growing up in the foster.
It took Aisha Morales from WBAY, Cutter from WAPL, and John Kuhn, legendary Green Bay Packer.
And we also on the radio.
To fill in for Bill Jarts. And meanwhile, I'm there going, why am I here? I don't belong in this crowd.
Awesome. Yeah. It was awesome. And that was the first time we were able to see how we both are so passionate about that, because we just it was so natural.
It really
was. And we both, for me, doing stuff like that is healing, super healing. I could go on and on about, and another reason why we're doing the one with Hope and Olive, which we can talk about too, is because it's another organization that I cling to that was also healing. Because I'm actually kind of introverted, and doing those MC gigs are a little scary. He knows I have almost a panic attack every time I go to see other people, which is weird because of what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's different. You have a camera versus and 100, 200, 300
I care.
people.
I want to do okay, and I want to help them make money or whatever. So, but once I'm there, I'm okay. But
you just rise up above it.
But it was super healing to do that again and then do it with him. It was really awesome.
So what's Hope and Olive?
Hope and Olive. So it's a friend of mine. It's a nonprofit, but she has the business portion of it.
Sure.
And she does its permanent makeup and reconstruction of eyebrows and things like that. So she found that a lot of people were coming in with maybe they had breast cancer, so they needed reconstruction of their areola, or they had different mental health disease. She has, I forget what the name of it is, where you pull your hair. It's like a constant, you're pulling your hair. So she had that. Yeah, something like that. So she had that. So that was another reason why she wanted to go in that direction for a nonprofit.
Sure.
And then also human trafficking victims who are branded. She can redo that, maybe turn it into a tattoo or something similar. So
amazing.
So they nominate a person, somebody gets nominated and then they go through that process of applying and then they pick a person every year, but they need funding obviously to go through. They have artists and different people in their organization that she has to, that support them. So that's what Hope and Olive is. And we're going to do their fundraiser this year. And I did their first story when she became a nonprofit because I knew her. And then I couldn't MC the first two, and she now basically was like begging us to, and begging me. And I was like, well, he's got to do it too. Cause I feel like it's just, it doesn't make sense anymore to do it alone.
You're a package deal now.
We are. Right. And it's really cool because we both have that drive to be in the community. And I see it with him and I see it with myself. And I'm like, what? It makes sense to do it that way.
Yeah. So does that mean you're going to come MC the Titletown pinups with me?
No.
I will do that.
Yeah, there you go. Funny story though, it's men who dress up.
Yeah. So that one is great. Shout out.
I do it either way.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Quick shout out to the Titletown pinups.
It's a great one.
They do this benefit in spring normally.
Yeah.
Right? It's like March time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's real simple, and they do it just at a bar, downtown Green Bay, and it's dapper dudes. So it's guys dressing up.
And their wives or whoever will, dress up too, but they're not in it. They're just there to support, which is hilarious because it's a whole fashion
like
show.
The 50s kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now,
this past year, they did it with both. They did dapper dudes and dames.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, they had, competitions for both male and female.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
But it's neat. Yeah, she went with me to the first one I did for them, and she's like, oh, our events are really different.
Very different.
And I'm like we're in a bar, people are doing shots, whatever.
Like, what's happening? Mine are very fancy, like steak and whatever.
No, I've never been dressed up so much in my life.
We've done quite a few.
I'm
of
like,
those.
I'm going to put on my best Pantera t-shirt.
But that one's for
maybe with a button up.
They raise they raise money for Harbor House.
Oh, cool.
Domestic abuse.
Great organization.
So another one I'm really passionate about. So I was like, yeah, that's really cool.
So there's so many questions that I have, but there is one question that I just want to ask because I'm sure the listeners are going to be wanting to know, how did you guys meet? How did this happen?
My favorite story.
Yeah,
my favorite story to tell.
Let's hear it because honestly,
I tell a lot of stories, but this one's my favorite.
You guys are like, we're out together, we're passionate together, we're showing up and doing these things.
Yeah.
All right, well, actually, I'll start it from my perspective because, only because when I started doing the morning show, it meant I was up early and was watching the news. Now, I've seen her name in the past, but I didn't pay that close attention, if I'm being completely honest with you. One of her coworkers, Chris Roth, used to do a sports break with me when I was on Razor 94.7, 104.7 in the afternoons. So that was my connection, basically, to BAY, and that was it. With the exception of their head photog, camera guy, Will the Thrill Santowski, shout out.
Will the Thrill. Let's go.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He is my cousin by marriage and a long time friend even before that. And he's worked at BAY for 25 years, 26 years.
Yep, and I actually met Will, not knowing obviously that he was related to him. I didn't even know he existed. But I met Will years ago, not here. I met him in Cancun, actually, on a
and his wife
and his wife, who's his cousin.
She passed away recently.
And he was like, "Oh, I work in Green Bay." I'm like, "In Green Bay? Like, I want to be there one day." And he worked at Channel 2. And then when I started working at Channel 2, I was like, "Oh, you're here." It's just a weird, turn of events.
And his wife, and again, she passed away from a few years ago. Something related to her heart, but we grew up together. Her parents were my godparents.
Oh, wow.
So it's just this weird, like there's been this universal pull this whole time without knowing it. You know?
Yes.
It's weird how that works.
But when I started doing the morning show, Rick asked me one day, we're just having a random conversation about TV crushes. And he said, "Who's your TV crush?" And I said, Aisha Morales and WBAY Channel.
Right away. Didn't even hesitate. He's
like Reservoir. Let's go.
And he gave me such crap about it. And my reasoning was, yes, she's beautiful. Yes, she's amazing. Yeah, you can see that through the TV even. And then it's true.
I get really awkward.
She is not comfortable in her skin right now.
He's like, why, out of everybody, that you could possibly pick. And I go, because I have the opportunity to run into her at the grocery store You know what I mean? And that was the whole thing. So we made it a joke.
And then you ran into each other at the grocery store.
Yeah, I wish.
That would be
just
crazy,
like a rom-com.
Right?
In reality,
she's wearing a Unabomber
we're both shopping
outfit
for watermelon.
Yes, of course.
She's in a hoodie.
I asked her, how do you know watermelon's right? You know what I mean? That's how it worked.
No, this cantaloupe. How do I know if avocados are in season?
So who introduced who? How did this go down?
Well, because and he mentioned how he started the morning show.
Right.
I actually started the morning show at the same time he did.
Yeah. So it's a weird.
It was
sleep schedules changed.
Yeah, but and since we're partners, we do news with them in the morning. But we put on headphones and there's a mic, and I don't know what they look like. And obviously they're on the radio, don't know what they look like. So I didn't really put 2 and 2 together about anything. I mean, maybe had seen him on social, but I don't know. And
I'm the creeper as well.
But I just heard his, just his voice.
I slid into her DMs and
it was just his voice. And then it was when Tammy Elliott was out for a while. She had long COVID and she had some family things going on. She was gone for a while. It was several months. And so I had to fill in, or I got to fill in. And I
like how you rephrased that. Thanks.
You're welcome. And then I got to work with him and Rick and giving him the news and
we exchanged phone numbers and started talking for work. And then that quickly became
to go back. He was kind of like always liking my tweets and like my Instagram stuff
the
and
classic
celebrity crush.
Right? Suddenly he was everywhere.
He's hearting my stories.
He was just trying to be everywhere so I would notice him.
Well, listen, I'll be completely honest. I asked Tammy Elliott if she was single.
Yeah.
Off the air, obviously. And at the time, she wasn't.
Right.
And I went, okay. And I erased it from my brain because I'm not that kind of person.
Nice.
I erased it from my brain. I tried dating. It didn't really work out, whatever. And then I kind of went on a little bit of a mental health journey. You and I have talked about that, Anthony, in the past. And stopped drinking and stopped doing all that stuff. Started doing meditation and more yoga and things like that. And it was in that time frame is when the universe allowed us to really open up and have the conversation. And I think it was because we were both mentally available to have that
when I met him, he
conversation.
still wasn't at that point drinking or anything.
Let me ask you this question. Did the looks match the voice to you?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised.
Let's go. And he was cleaning himself up. I mean,
I was like, okay.
Let's go.
Well, I didn't know who was who, and I was like, well, obviously Rick isn't. That's not him. 2 different people, and he's in his 60s.
Rick's way better looking.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's interesting. You talked about, changing from, just becoming mentally available. And we talk a lot about mental health on this show, like an uncanny amount for being a It's Your Neighbor podcast. And I think one of the unique things that we do is we do bring mental health to the forefront, especially with men, right? Like women, there's a lot more resources out there and they can be more open and vulnerable. Guys, we have to hold it in and do all that. And I think now
I'm okay. I'm
okay.
fine. I got
it's cool. I'm gonna go break.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go build this thing.
Right. So what was it for you that like just forced you to be like, I gotta be better. I gotta do this for me because it's always good to hear a recovery story, right?
It's been a long journey of that. Dealing with mental health and especially men's mental health is that's how Anthony and I became close. We started an initiative on Razor about 8 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And your organization Rise Together was there with us right immediately from the start. My coworker Katie and I, we were at the time running that radio station, and her and I both.
He's awesome.
We both just had this, thing of like, okay, mental health is an issue. There's, been substance abuse issues in both of our histories and all of that stuff. It's like there's
and all
a
the
big
musicians
thing, and
that
all the
were going through
musicians.
it.
Right.
When from the music perspective, when Chris Cornell passed away from suicide. And shortly thereafter, Chester Bennington passed away from suicide. We went, these are a few of the biggest rock stars this world has. And Chester Bennington, crossover pop artist too.
Right.
And they committed suicide. They have everything. Wives, kids, houses, cars, music, fans, millions of fans all over the world that adore them.
Whatever they wanted, right? Yeah.
How could people like that be so down that they would feel that the only way out is to erase their existence from the universe? there's something deeper going on. And I think it's time. We need to talk about it.
It hit hard.
And when we opened those doors on Razor, I mean, I'm getting chills thinking about it because not only did the local community come together and local veteran organizations and guys like Anthony, but the musicians. David Reyment from Disturbed reached out and wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
And anybody that we talked to about mental health, the band Beartooth were big. I Prevail, their album Trauma, I think saved lives, including maybe my own. It's absolutely incredible, the community that started coming out together. And now the mental health, when it comes to the rock and roll community and men specifically, is the conversation's completely wide open. I even had Rob Hell from Judas Priest, I mentioned him earlier, but talking about it from his perspective as a gay man from England in the metal community and the mental health aspect that he has gone through numerous times in his life.
Yeah.
Once the stories come out and they start rolling, and I think once you hear somebody else talk about it, once you hear your heroes talk about it, your friends, your peers, it allows you to look inside and go, actually.
Yeah.
And see other people differently.
100%.
Because you don't know what's going on.
And in that process for me, it opened myself up to know that I've been dealing with some stuff that I just haven't dealt with. I've gone to therapy, sure, but I didn't deal with the actual root of the problem. And it wasn't until, and I thought I was okay a couple of times, and it turns out I wasn't. And it wasn't until right before her and I met that I really dug deep and went, I have to change. I have to change. And it wasn't about drugs and alcohol or any of that. I just had to put myself back in a position of purity, of I need to eat right. I need to not go out to the bars. I need to refocus my energy. And in doing that, it really, I don't know, man, it changed everything. It really did.
Yeah. That's a beautiful story. And it also, like you said, gave way for other people to have that conversation, to be seen and to be heard, whether that was through the radio or through an online post even. Even some of the stuff that we did together, I think about, Stone Sour and some of those guys. Corey Taylor, huge mental health advocate, came alongside of us when we partnered up with, we did the Million Mohawk Challenge. And everybody was spiking their hair and talking about the brain underneath it, and literally
and some idiot radio DJ in Green Bay had the worst mohawk ever. That whole process.
But that went around the world through really the heavy metal community started.
Yeah, it did.
It really kind of put that out into the world, and we just appreciate people being even willing to talk about mental health and to have a radio station say, hey, not only do we want to shine light on your nonprofit, that meant a lot to me, but also hear my story. And especially, me, I've been through enough over the last few years, especially, and to come in again and again and again, especially this last couple of times since 2020. I mean, to be honest with you, Cutter, I also wanted to bring you on the show just to thank you. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for always being there for me. And also just reaching out and saying, hey, I know you're going through a lot.
Yeah, you all right?
So that's
I
really
think
good.
we have just such a huge responsibility too with what we do. I don't think people realize, that I don't just sit there and read the news, or you don't just sit there and play music. We have a huge opportunity to be out there, and why not take it? To me, it's a no-brainer.
Well, it's like using that platform
it's
for
a
good.
Huge opportunity. And people, when I'm out there, I mean, they really appreciate that. To see that side of you that they're not used to seeing. And when I met him, I was going through, and still, am healing from a lot. And I was, and and he was in the right place to help me finally get through that hump, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, but in that process, you also helped me.
Yeah. So, now we're doing it together, and it's really cool. I mean, but
don't you me?
Oh man, I know we're gross. This heart go around.
We're so gross.
Very nice.
But I just see it. I mean, slowly evolving, and it's really, really cool. I mean, we haven't really had a chance to do something like this and talk about it and really see it that way. Yeah. Because we just do it, and we don't think about it. We're just doing it.
Well, the cool part is you guys, like you said, you have the platform to do it. You can empower others, and partner with others and just create that. I think when you break it down, all of the stuff that's, whether you have, everybody's got shit, right? So we all deal with it. We pack it in differently. guys in particular were fixers, right? So if we never talk about something, like I can't help them, right? Like I can't have that empathy enough to go, dude.
How many times, you know? And right now we're doing a charity on Saturday for Canines for Warriors, and their big mission is veteran suicide.
Right.
You know, how often do you hear, "Oh, I can't believe they killed themselves. They were always so joyful."
Right.
Well, you never asked.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying you have to ask everybody you see, "Hey, you okay, man?"
Right.
You know, but just being, I think, aware, you know, and not some of the most depressed people in the world are some of the funnest to be around at a bar.
I mean, think about all the big names that have gone out. I mean, even just friends and families, of course. But you know, Robin Williams, you know, for example, great humorous act. Of course, there's more involved there.
You can't be a comic without a little trauma.
Right. That's true.
But, you know, shining light on those stories and the resources that even you as a network have been able to provide, and I'm sure the same thing on your end, is just that connection point. Where do we go when we are in need as a community member? And you get an opportunity to shine a little light on that.
Well, the cool part is you guys get to show your real people.
Yeah.
Like like you had mentioned, like you're here, you're on TV.
Right.
Who are you behind the person that's on TV? Who are you behind the microphone? And that's, I think, the coolest part about what we do is, and my favorite part is we get to interview people and actually find out and learn about people. You know, you guys can talk about all the other stuff that you do any other time, but like to actually find out who you really are now, it's cool. Like,
I've got a question for you, actually.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, okay, but reporting the news obviously is a very important thing. But how much are you able to really shine a light on some of the community organizations in respect to also reporting the news? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if people are looking for help, okay, this story happened and it's horrible, but if you need help, go here. You know what I mean?
I will say the whole mental health topic has come up a lot more, thankfully, and because I do the safety desk.
Yeah.
And because I'm such an advocate of mental health awareness, I've made it a point to say that should fit into that category of safety.
Agreed.
I think it is.
Absolutely.
And they've agreed. Nobody's said anything, so I keep rolling with it.
Yeah, you don't want to be that person that says no.
Correct. But it is a bit of a challenge because, oddly enough, when we do research on stories and what people want to hear or see from us, even though you go to, you know, a concert or you see people anywhere, I don't watch the news because it's too depressing.
Right.
I hear that all the time. But the research shows differently, so it's very confusing for us.
Right.
So when we do these stories, we tend to just focus on the blood and the gore and all the stuff that's happened.
I think there's a difference
the
between
nuts and bolts of it, so to speak.
Yeah,
well, and I think there's a difference too between local news and national news, right? Like
Totally.
national news is like
there's 100%
that's
a big difference.
That's the biggest difference. I think if you interviewed somebody who only watched my dad watches the 5, 6, 9, 10.
Yeah, my mom does
all
too.
the stations.
Yeah.
Like something's going to change in 4 hours that much, but he's
I know.
he's on it. So, but I think that's the big difference is, and I think what you're getting at is, for me, I don't watch the news very much anymore, but I caught myself yesterday watching the local news and the Olympic stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, this is great.
Well, it can be challenging to at least, I think the reason why I end up, also another reason why I do all this community stuff is because I can't always focus on it with our jobs, with our stories. We don't always get the opportunity.
You have a job to do.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's people doing bad things or stupid things, and we have to report on it. And if they would stop doing that, we could actually focus on nonprofits and do happy stories. That'd be awesome. But because we can't, I do that during the day, and then when I'm not doing that, I'm focusing on the nonprofits or the organizations or the causes that I'm passionate about.
That's cool.
Because we don't get to always focus on that.
Maybe we should get into that other idea that we talked about earlier in the year in the Good News Network.
The Good News Network?
There's a gal, the gal from the Sundrop girl from Shawano who has
the Sundrop girl?
Yeah, we did a story, we have a small town series that Jeff Alexander does. And he interviewed her, I forgot her name. And she has a Good News show.
Yeah.
But I think she just sticks around I'm not really sure if she just sticks around Shawano or what.
That's cool though.
But she's awesome. Jamie, her name is Jamie.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
By the way,
it's a great concept.
A Sundrop in Shawano hits different. I'm telling you.
It actually
it does.
That's
It
a
really
sidebar
does.
conversation.
The ridge.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's a thicker bottle.
It's got real lemon juice.
It's got real lemon juice in it. You can
you
see
the
lemon.
Floating,
yeah. And then you turn it up to the sky and it turns into a kaleidoscope. No, I'm just kidding. That would have been awesome.
And then if you add Captain Morgan to it.
Just, all right, we don't drink anymore. That's right. Are you ready to get down? Are you ready to do this little?
Do this?
Well, they're already used to it anyways.
I know, right? Well,
what is that?
All right.
What are you doing?
We're flipping it. You guys get to be the interviewees now.
All right, so you know what time it is. This is the time that we flip it around where the hosts become the interviewees.
Yeah, we don't prep anybody for this on there. So we're not like, oh yeah, we got a couple of people who are used to interviewing people coming in. You guys get to ask us anything now.
It's kind of what we do.
Right? Kind of what we do.
And now you're going to put us on the spot and we're both going to
I
go.
always ask people, where are you from? Where did you grow up? That's like the first thing. I try to break the ice with no matter what we're doing, no matter what story.
Right to training.
Right to training.
Yeah.
Of course, you already know I'm from Ripping Good Cookies, baby.
Pulaski.
Pulaski?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Pulaski. Yeah. Polka Days.
I guess if that's what we're affiliating with. Yes, I go on Thursday still.
That's the only thing. Yeah.
Thursday. I watch the fireworks.
I go to my polka class.
Yeah. I go to my class.
My dad played accordion.
Yeah, really?
He did. He hasn't for a long time. I don't know if he can anymore. Just doesn't have the desire. But he played accordion for a long time when he was young, before my brothers and sisters and I came around. Mm-hmm. I believe he taught how to play other people. How to play accordion.
My great grandma loves polka.
I don't know if I want to owe my dad on this, not to be a dad one-upper, but I think my dad was in a polka band at one point.
See?
Wow.
He tells me about it. I've not seen any visual evidence.
No, I was in the band.
Sure you were. I saw a black and white photo one time. One time. They didn't have cameras then, you know.
Right?
Yeah. There were no fancy cell phones.
So they took way too much time.
How did you guys meet?
That is a good question.
So
you guys asked us how we met.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
So when I started Take Action Realty Group, Take Action Realty is only about a year and a few months old now. Yeah. So maybe we're on 14, 15 months. And I always wanted to just do something different, be different than just a regular real estate company because one, they're all the same, right? So why go do something if I got just stayed at the last place and been completely content and happy and worked within the system. But I always looked at it a lot like you guys do, is there's a way, like we live in a community, let's give to the community and be different. We're here, we're making income because of the community and the people in the community. Let's give and see what happens. And so as we started growing and the things happened, we actually put an ad out on Indeed. And we were looking for a photographer because we were doing so many listings. I'm subcontracting out photography. And I'm like, well, if we look at this, I could probably get a guy in here to do some marketing, have some skills, whatever. So we threw the ad out there and then he applied and I'm like, no freaking way are we going to be able to pay this guy. His resume is...
Dude, and I applied out of frustration.
He probably made his resume look better than an ad.
I know this guy. I got executive coach and everything. Dude, it was 4 pages. So it was over the top.
Nobody looks beyond the first page.
Exactly. That's why that first one was the heater. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so before I got into real estate, I worked as a college recruiting specialist. So I'd help high school students go to college and play sports. Oh. So in a way, I was a little bit of like a motivational speaker, life coach, guidance counselor, football coach, sports coach, whatever. And then I saw he had like national speaker on his thing, and I would go travel the country, and I would be the backup to the national speaker that we had, and they're all former NFL players and stuff like that. So he's in. I'm like, okay, I understand his language, but again, I don't know how I'm going to pay this guy. We're still a startup kind of thing. And then he came in. We interviewed him and another guy. The other guy didn't work out, but I was like, before he even came in to interview, I'm like, we gotta figure out a way to get this guy in here. Because of his skill level and because of what he's capable of, he's probably a guy that I want here 2 years from now because I'm building towards that.
Investment.
But here he is.
Yeah, an investment for the future.
Yeah. So I made a few sacrifices, paid him more than I could, less than he's worth. But that's where that all kind of came in, and you can tell him why. But
yeah, I mean, for me, it was one of those things where. I went through so many changes over this last 4 years and talk about hitting the brakes and trying to figure out my life. I mean, after my son passed away, holy shit. I mean, it was like, forget my nonprofit and all the prevention work I was doing because I literally just lost my son to the thing I was trying to not make happen to my family, right? Generationally, we've been impacted for a long, long time around addiction and mental health. So to me, I was just completely shot. But one of the things that I did during that time of grief and suffering and an immense amount of depression is I found another way to tell story, and that was through my camera. And so I've been shooting photos with Rise Together just because we're a nonprofit. We couldn't afford a photographer, so I picked up the camera.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, eventually, over time, people were like, "You're actually kind of good at that," So I just kept on shooting photos, and then I was shooting photos with a bunch of nonprofits and stuff. So then eventually, it landed me some gigs, and I was traveling the country. Like literally, I went out to Vegas and shot a Macklemore concert that was all about recovery, and Gary Owens was there, the comedian, and I love that, and all these national speakers, and my guy Joseph Green, and he was doing the spoken word thing, and Facebook and Our Heart Media put that out, and I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be awesome! I'm gonna be a photographer." And then I flew out to Denver. And I shot some big event at the university, and I'm like, I'm now a photographer.
Look at me, I'm a photographer.
I am now a photographer. And then I figured out that just was really a hobby for that summer. And I was like, I'd love to have this full time.
You made it sound like it was years.
Yeah, I was like, this is
summer.
amazing.
That happened in a summer.
Yeah, it was like, this is the second summer going into it. And I'm like, man, I have a baby coming. And I know raising children, that may be going out and starting something and doing something new can be really hard as a new parent. So maybe I should apply for maybe a part-time, full-time job just to pay the bills, and then I can do my hobbies like speaking and photography. So out of frustration, yes, I woke up one morning. It was on a Saturday.
It's okay. I'm glad you were frustrated.
I saw that classified lonely ad out there, and I was like, yes, I will just be a real estate photographer. I don't give anything about, I'm just going to do this. Okay, let's get it. And I was like, I've never even shot photos of houses before, besides like abandoned buildings. You know what I mean? So
it is different.
So I'm like, if anything, I know how to take photos, so I'm gonna go apply. They called, I came in. By the time I hit my driveway back in Appleton from that first interview, they were already calling me back for the second interview. I came in and we started talking much more about the broader picture, much more than just capturing photos of houses. It was, hey, look, we're looking to be a community-driven organization. We want to shake up the industry. We have a growing team. Here's our skill set. Here's our reach. Here's our team. And to me, when I saw that they already invested, over $10,000 into the studio, I'm like, I have a podcast studio. I've been wanting to do a podcast again.
That's true. He has. He's been talking to me about that for a long time.
And, jumping in and saw that we have a photography setup. We have this beautiful location. We got a great team, and Kevin Barry alone. I mean, just rock star team.
Wait a minute. Didn't you rent our studio for a little bit?
I did.
That's what I thought.
My first podcast, I was over by you guys, and that ran 26 episodes. Just eclipsed that. This show did, and we're at 30 with this. But so this is a manifestation waiting to happen. I literally have it drawn out almost exactly like this in my basement from 3 years ago.
Wow.
And it was an idea that was just waiting to come full circle. And we literally have that in our logo, full circle moments, just like you guys finding each other at the right time.
Yep.
I found these guys. And it just was one of those things where now literally
Thanks,
we are making waves.
Chills.
You know what I'm saying?
It is, everything is full circle.
Yeah,
it really is.
For us. Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
So here's my question for you, Anthony. How does it feel to have a whole company mortgage its future on you?
Well, I haven't been sleeping as much over the last 8 months. I'm going to be honest.
We can't make it past his salary. We're in deep trouble.
It's funny. I came in, I think it was yesterday. I was talking to Monte. I was like, hey, man, last month I was not feeling awesome. You know what I mean? But I'm so excited about this work, and it is keeping me up at night for good reasons, though. Because I really do see my 10 plus years of I've been in the community doing community-driven initiatives around nonprofits, everything from motorcycle shows to car shows to booking bands to doing a thing with my nonprofit to all the things in the community. I've made a way of doing something for young people in our community. So that's one thing. And we're getting to do that on a whole different level here.
Awesome.
We're also getting an opportunity just to, support some people. Now I get the chance to teach them how to share a story, just like I've been doing with young people.
Okay. So as a realty company, realtor, realtor sounds like it sounds like a
realtor,
transformer.
It does.
Oh, that is
right.
That'd be a cool
realtor.
Now you're on
made by Mattel.
Yes,
we could start making like
actually,
that could be a mascot.
There you go. Anyway, so as a company that's really set at the foundation of just selling houses, right, and making money, and that's what it's about. To do what is your goal for the future? Like what you're doing a podcast about neighbors and about community organizations and the good of Northeast Wisconsin. Where are you trying to take that?
Well, I talked a little bit about my athletic background before, right? So I still have that competitive desire to be the best. And if I want to be the best, I have to be different because everybody's cut from the same mold. And that's one of the observations I had when I made the decision and finally decided to rip the Band-Aid off from where I was before. And I loved my broker before. It was a smaller real estate brokerage. But I think just looking at like just overall who I am as a person, who always can see the best in everybody and the potential in everybody, I love drawing that out of people. You know, he mentioned Kevin, you know, being here and knowing Kevin's background of playing for the Packers for 8 years and his sphere and what he's capable of doing and just trying to pull that out of him. And then also at the same time, I have a coaching background. So I want to, you know, be able to impact the community, but also grow, you know, a team, but also like help people be better versions of themselves. So what we've done here is not only have we gotten somebody like Anthony to be able to come in and teach storytelling and be our CMO, but we also have a guy, you may know who Brad Bordini is. He's a musician, you know.
Executive coach.
Yeah, executive coach. And he's a mental health expert. I have him here for our agents to get the best of themselves and to be able to do that.
That's really cool.
So, like, I'm trying to develop human beings who happen to be realtors here. It's the same approach that I have for athletes when I was a coach. Is like, I have human beings that happen to be athletes. Can I make them better? Are they better off at the end of whenever they decide to leave here than they were before? Of course, I want them all to stay forever, but real estate isn't for everybody. It's a tough ass market to do it. And it's not just because of the way the market is or interest rates. It's a very hard profession to get into because it's commission based. It's, you know, you have to be community driven. You have to be patient. You have to be curious. You have to have certain traits to be able to be a very successful real estate agent. And you always know who the good real estate agents are because they're around longer than 6 months or a year or 3 years. If somebody makes it 3 years, you probably know who they are. You've heard their name before.
Right.
Or at least the ones that are producing at a high level. So just taking that approach and just like the whole picking up the trash thing. I want to leave the world better than when I left it. And I love real estate. I love people. And if I can just make it a little bit better when I'm gone or when I decide to end my career as a real estate broker, or hopefully that's not for a long time, but whenever that is, that the real estate industry in Green Bay is better. You know, the community is better because of something that I started and the team that I brought along with. That's what I want to have happen at the end of all of it.
A huge domino effect, too. If your people are good, they can go out there and help other people. And
I don't have a lot of experienced agents. So I have people here that are amazing human beings. They're uber talented. Like the people that we have in our building are really, like we have a videographer that's best of the Lakeshore. We have Ashley who's here who runs Rise Up Experiences, and she's incredible. Yeah. Jenna, our transaction coordinator, is up and coming. She's got a social media influence. Kevin, we talked about. Everybody we have here has other skills besides that. Now, if we can take that skill and apply it to real estate, and they're already community influencers. Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah. So. Yeah. Again, if anybody watching this, we need some experienced agents. But
yes, that would be your plug.
But we have amazingly talented and really good, morally strong people that are here, and that's really what we're trying to drive.
And one of the ways that it really stuck to me was I heard the message of, you want to go along somebody for life, and you want to help people really get invested here in the community. And for somebody like myself, the reason why, and I know you didn't ask, but I'll tell you anyways, is, what does home mean to you today, right? I brought this up numerous times, but to me, it's changed over the years. And if I can help, especially the next generation, find their home, even if it's their first one or forever home, that's really special to me, actually, especially coming from a place that
Aisha knows that. That's why she's here. She's
kind of broken, that. Right? And so to create those experiences and really authentically live here, to shine light on stories. And because we're educators and coaches and trainers, I've been facilitating and teaching and building curriculum for the last, 10 years. I'm doing it with Rise Together, with Penn State, and that's really exciting. But now we get an opportunity to take that skill set that we have collectively in the team and create other curriculum for realtors all across the country, which is really exciting. So it focuses more on providing education and resource. So we're more of a value instead of just a commission grab, if that makes sense.
Well, it makes sense that we talked about how this is a very unique community and that very tight-knit sense of community that every industry in this community is catering to that.
Right.
You know, real estate in Arizona, where I came from, is probably way different because that sense of community is very different. So
and
you
there's a
almost
lot more
have to
people.
It's very smart. That's very smart.
Well, it's very, I think it's like, you have bigger markets too, right? Like Phoenix is obviously huge. And yeah. You get into the communities that have millions of people, it's transactional, right? Like here, there it's probably a little bit easier. You take care of one person, they know a lot more people, and it snowballs.
Well, how many times in this town or in this community, and there's a million people. In Northeast Wisconsin. That's a fact. We're just over a million people.
There are people here.
And I love,
we talked about it yesterday.
I love how I had somebody from San Diego. This is so funny. I had somebody from San Diego call me yesterday. It was like, how's the internet there? I have a client interested in moving to Appleton.
Oh, no.
How's the internet in Appleton? Do they have that there? And I go,
we haven't heard of that yet.
Yes. People
Somebody
do
asked
this.
that?
Yes.
An
This
agent.
happens when I travel, when I speak all the time. They're like, do you have
You're
cities
like, what's
there?
the internet?
right, I should have.
Cities? Yes, we have
What's
cities.
that?
I was blown away by that. I'm like, I don't know.
Not only do we have cities, we have
Public
buildings
transportation?
over 15 stories.
And schools.
I was like,
and,
we have like 1 and 2 gig. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's your definition of fast.
What do you
We
mean?
have fiber optics.
I mean, there's this thing that rings when we start up the internet. And it makes this like noise.
Got mail. But what I was going to say is, while there's that many people here,
right?
How many times have you gone to a car dealership or the drugstore or wherever, right? Walmart, for crying out loud, of all stupid places. And it's like, and you run into somebody, it's like, oh, are you related to blah, blah, blah? It's like, that's my third cousin from my grandma's side. It's like,
oh my gosh, that's such a Wisconsin thing to do.
It is.
And it is. And it's all the time. My mom used to joke around. She's like, I hate going anywhere with your father because we can't go anywhere without knowing
like
somebody he knows.
Wow.
I literally, at Milo Music, I was just there this past week.
That's my mom's voice for the radio, by the way. It's like, Andrew, why would you even do that?
She doesn't sound like that for the record.
No, she's a really nice lady.
Your real name's Andrew?
It is.
Mine is too.
No. Did you just do that?
We did.
And we have the same parents? Wait, are we brothers?
Whoa!
Full circle.
It's weird that our parents named us the same name.
You want to go in the garage and do some karate?
Let's go. Yep.
Okay.
Wisconsin moment at Mile Music. I literally saw somebody go like this. Clemens, right? You're a Clemens. And I'm like, the person was like, huh? And they're like, Clemens, you're a Clemens, aren't you? And they're like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Like those small town moments, man.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Either way, thank you guys for coming in the show. I would love for you guys just to shine a light before you're out here, just on a couple of the things that you have coming up. You have a couple key events. Yep. Let's talk about those real quick.
You can start with this Saturday.
Well, first of all, when does this go?
That's a good question. Let's talk about this Saturday.
Okay. Yeah. This Saturday is Cutter's Rock and Ride. I did this once before in my life, and it was awesome. We had bands play and motorcycle ride for charity. It wasn't a huge success, I won't lie, and it didn't come back. We have brought it back, and it's already bigger than it was that time. APL is a bigger station, not going to lie. But
what'd you do different?
It just, I don't know. We didn't do that much different. We're not doing a guided motorcycle ride. So if you've ever been on a charity motorcycle ride or have seen them.
I've seen them, yeah.
Right. Hundreds of bikes all going at once, right? We're not doing that. What it is you go to Flagstone Bar and Grill in Appleton. Kickstands up at 11 a.m. Here are the 5 places to go to. Have fun.
Cool. It's kind of fun. It feels like a scavenger hunt. You just go to the little spot.
Poker stops at a lot.
We'll have a local acoustic duo who are absolutely incredible called Hale and Hall. They're going to play some music in the morning. People are getting registered. Maybe eat a little breakfast. Breakfast will be available, full menu. And then we'll say a couple words and we'll hit the road. And there's a car show going on at one of the stops, Maloney's. There's a couple different things like that around the community, and then we'll come back Flagstone 5 o'clock or so, and my friend JD and I will play. We have a band called Jamming with JD because we're all there jamming with him. We'll play from the time people get back till whenever there's nobody there.
That's awesome.
And that's why it's Cutter's Rock and Ride. It's motorcycles, classic cars can come too if they want. Really just anybody. It's all benefiting Canines for Warriors, which is a local organization. They rescue dogs and train them as service animals for veterans. Oh, man, that's cool. Incredible organization, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. and animal rescue is obviously something that she's a very big part of too. And then you also throw in the veteran cause. It's like, yep, perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's this Saturday. Then the next one, is it Rick's benefit? When's Hope and Olive?
Late September.
That's late September, right? Sorry. You should see her calendar. It's ridiculous. And I let her deal with it because I'm scatterbrained.
It's insane.
It's well, planning a wedding, kids.
Yes, congrats.
Those are 2 separate calendars. Work calendars, personal calendars.
Oh yeah.
Community calendar.
Right.
Band calendar. There's 6 there's 6 in one 6 colors. Help.
Right.
We have Rick's benefit coming up.
So Rick, and I actually just came from a meeting for that to hear. September 8th, we will be doing Rockin' for Rick. So Rick McNeil, my co-host for the past 3 years, legendary, media figure in Northeast Wisconsin, did the morning show on WAPL just shy of 40 years. He's having some health issues, and we're trying to help him out. Insurance in this country, let's be honest, it sucks. The healthcare industry is what it is. When it's not a political talk show, we're not going to get into it, but we all can agree that it blows. And it's tough and it's hard, and we're just trying to make it easier on him. He's in a rehabilitation center right now.
He deserves it. So many people over the years have talked about how much he's given back and how he has taken every opportunity. If somebody asks, hey, can you support this? It sounds like he's always said yes. So why not?
Even beyond the radio station, yes, the radio station would get behind Children's Wisconsin. Yes, the radio station could be behind Make-A-Wish or whatever. But he himself would go above and beyond. And I want to keep that going. In October, we do the Halloween benefit for Children's Wisconsin. I will continue to do that if they allow me to. But that was Rick's doing. That was something Rick wanted to be involved in. He's given back to this community, and without question, if you asked him for help, he was there. Whether it was airtime, whether it was a donation, whatever it may be. So we're just trying to get people together to help him out. The benefit right now is Maloney's. It's a Sunday, starts at noon. It's the first weekend of NFL football, but the Packers play on Friday, so it's all good.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're good to go.
It will be A-Town Unplugged, Walt Hamburger, who just signed a new record deal. So congratulations to Walt Hamburger. Cool Waters Band, one-off Boxcar reunion, if you remember the band Boxcar.
Yeah, I remember Boxcar. I remember they came to Ripon Fest,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And then Glam Band will headline, of course.
Of course.
Everybody loves Glam Band.
Everybody loves Glam Band.
Only seen them like 7 times this year.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
But do you ever say no to seeing them?
Right? No.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm going to go to this thing. Glam Band's playing.
They're a good time.
Yeah.
They are a good
time.
always a great
Never
time.
if somebody invites me and says, hey, I'm going to Glam Band, I'm just going to go.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to go.
They're so cool.
So Glam Band's going to headline, and we'll have bucket raffles and just a couple quick shout outs to Bergstrom Automotive, who donated a very cool item. I don't know if I'm going to say it. This is exclusive because I've not said this on the air.
Let's go.
We will have an autographed in-case Jordan Love football, the highest paid quarterback in NFL history, autographed. Very recently autographed too. I think I could still smell the Sharpie.
That smells a lot more expensive than it was.
That's the most expensive Sharpie I've ever smelled in my life. Yeah. We'll have that to auction off. Awesome. There'll be some stuff from Solomon's Meats and various other places too. So I think we're going to do a Rick McNeil box of crap.
Let's go.
Which is basically all the stuff from his desk. Might auction off some old APL gold records.
That's
very
cool,
quirky stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's going on September 8th, Maloney's. Then I believe the next event is Hope and Olive.
Hope and Olive. I would have to. Can I look at my calendar? Is that allowed?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because again,
17 calendars.
Yeah, September. And we have so much. It's every weekend.
Right? Oh, there's absolutely something every weekend. And if there's not anything that weekend,
especially
something happens that weekend.
The 13th. It's a Friday. September 13th.
Oh yeah, Friday the 13th.
Yes.
And they're still looking for people to buy tickets.
Excellent. And that's tables are available. Single tickets are available too. And what an amazing, a different cause, but what an amazing cause.
Yeah.
That Hope and Olive does.
Totally.
So.
Well, that is awesome. We'll put all that into the show links, of course.
Hey, one thing I want to do. I didn't talk to you about this before, but I own the place, so I can do what I want.
Yeah,
so,
I get that.
So we have this amazing event center outside that we're in the process of building. If you guys have a smaller event you guys want to run here for a nonprofit, we'll open the doors for you, no cost.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's awesome.
That would be awesome.
Just let us know. As long as there's nothing else booked, we make it happen.
Especially animal friendly, that's something that we're looking for. And we also support, of course, mental health initiatives and really any community initiative. But we've been hosting here for the last year. And it's been really great to see the community come on through and really just host events here. It was just an idea that we had, and people are literally using the space and raising money for good causes. So it's pretty sweet, to be able to do that. So
that's amazing. To go back to the mental health thing, I will say this. It's razorwisconsin.com/mental health. While I'm not on Razor every day anymore, that is as a company, our place to go for mental health. We have links back to that site on other websites in the company. Obviously that's such a huge thing. So razorwisconsin.com/mental health for the mental health stuff.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for all that you're doing, and congratulations on your success as a couple.
You guys got a whole bunch going on.
Very
we
busy.
really appreciate it, and we hope to see you in the studio again sometime.
Yeah, keep being you.
Appreciate it.
I love
awesome.
it. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was it, guys. That's the episode number 30.
Let's go.
Thanks to Aisha and Cutter. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, take it easy, guys. See you next week.